This is Kristen Shaw with Airport Improvement Magazine, and I'm here with Lakeland Linder Airport. Gentlemen, please introduce yourselves to our viewers.
Hello, I'm Gene Conrad, and I'm the Airport Director here at Lakeland Linder International Airport.
I'm Chris Hallstrand, the Assistant Airport Director.
And I'm Adam Lunn, I'm the Operations Manager.
Nice to meet you all. I interviewed the three of you for the article that we had in our most recent issue about a new runway project. And before 2020 got really crazy, you had planned on a runway expansion and renovation. So talk a little bit about how you decided that this was the good time to do the renovation, and then what happened when the lockdown happened.
Well, I guess it really, for us, it all starts back in 2015, and we've been very fortunate here, being in Central Florida, and being between Tampa and Orlando, and having a tremendous airport here with an 8,500-foot runway, tower, crash fire rescue, great infrastructure, great bones here, and over a million and a half square feet of facilities. And it was time for us, because we were 100% full, to figure out what is that next thing we need to work on to continue to drive revenue and job creation here at the airport. And with that, we worked with our partners at the Florida Department of Transportation. We did an intermodal feasibility study, basically a business plan for the airport. And one of the key items that came out of that plan was our intermodal development, which is now what Amazon sits on. Initially, that development was going to be several MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul hangars, large hangars for whether it's 737s, Airbuses, even up to 777s, and there was a cargo component in that. So we moved, diligently to work again with our partners at FDOT to program grants to get that site ready to go, which we did. And we started to move through that process, doing the environmental assessment with the FAA, getting through that process, and then we started the design for the development. And lo and behold, while we were doing the design, or basically finishing it up, we were cold called by Amazon. Now, granted, I am getting to the runway piece. There's just a larger story with that. Amazon Air called us, and this was in December of 2017, just when we were finishing up the design for the intermodal site. And we showed them what we were going to do, not knowing what they were going to ultimately need. And how we had it laid out is exactly how it is not today. So we had to do another redesign on our project, and shift the layout of the asphalt, and so it would ultimately fit and meet their needs. But in going through all of that with them and being vetted by them, and looking at our project, the intermodal project, one of our capital improvement projects moving forward over the next 5 years was a runway rehab project. And now, granted, it turned into a rehab and strengthening, because Amazon obviously ultimately decided to call this place, or to call Lakeland, one of their gateway regional hubs. So they're here now. But when we were going through the vetting process with Amazon, they asked, what were our next 5-year capital projects, and one was the runway. And they asked, well, how are you going to do the runway, and how is all this going to get done if it's done after we've already started operating? And I said, good question. Because we really hadn't thought about that, but working with them, we worked through the process, and initially our thought was, well, we could do 300 feet a night, because we hadn't done the design, we hadn't put together the funding, worked with the partners at the FAA and FDOT to put together all the funding elements, and we need a little bit of time to figure all of that out. But moving through the process with Amazon, and then again working with our partners, we were able to put the pieces together to be able to get the project started and completed prior to them getting here. So that in itself, was remarkable that we could even get there. There were days that we probably were like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or get it done. Again, because trying to do 300 feet a night once they were already here operating, which they operate 7 days a week now with 6 flights a day, it would have been very, very difficult for us to get that done. So again, we were very fortunate to be able to get the project started, design it quickly, get the contractor on board, and move forward and complete it in 162 days or something like that. So.
Yeah, Gene, I'm curious, and other gentlemen, you can chime in as well. Chris and Adam, how did you come up with the number of 300 feet a day? Is that pushing it, or is that a typical number?
Well, actually, that was something, I mean, it's not even something we came up with. It was, our consultant on the project, the designer engineering firm was Atkins North America, and they had actually done the runway in San Diego, which is a one runway airport, obviously a very busy airport. And so we always thought there was a way to get it done and there was a way to do it. And you know, they had looked into they had done the project in San Diego, and then we looked at a case study that they did it on as well. And we shared with our friends at Amazon, so they felt comfortable knowing, obviously, that this is, you know, all things can be done, but that it had been done before somewhere else, again, at a very busy airport. So, but in saying that and looking at, you know, what we were up against, you know, obviously we're not as busy as San Diego as far as commercial service, but we really didn't want to go down that road because we also had to install centerline lighting and touchdown zone lighting for our future Cat 3 ILS, which we're currently working on. So there were a lot more elements. So granted, I don't know if they had to do that in San Diego or not, but for us to do the 300 feet, you know, just to recondition the lime rock or add more and pave, you know, is a lot. But then to add all the conduit and all the light cans at the same time, it would have been super difficult. It's doable and you can get it done, but we didn't want to do it that way.
Now, aside from Amazon, which obviously plays a big part on your runway, Adam, there is a specific season and an event that you guys run there. Tell me about the Sun and Fun event and how you were trying to work around those dates to get this runway finished.
Sure. So as we were kind of embarking on this project, this was prior to all the COVID-19 outbreak, we were trying to make sure that we were completed prior to our annual fly-in, which happens each spring, usually around the first week of April. So that was really the benchmark for us. We had to make sure that we had an operable runway, not necessarily with final grooving or final paint, but we needed to have a runway available to support all those aircraft operations. In that week, we can see up to 4,000 aircraft operations throughout that 6-day period. 7 days.
7,000 operations.
7,000 operations.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a huge event. And I think, Chris, you have a lot of experience with events like that coming from Oshkosh, right?
Yeah, certainly. I was in Oshkosh for a few years, and then I came here to Lakeland, and Sun and Fun is one of the reasons why I was attracted to this airport. And with Gene being involved in Oshkosh all of his life, that's where I met him, and we kind of got tied together there, and here I am in Lakeland and enjoying it, doing these projects.
And what's the biggest driver? I know you had to add quite a bit of strengthening to the runway to accommodate, mostly for Amazon, right?
Well, actually, it's not only just for Amazon. I mean, at some point, you know, us sitting between Tampa and Orlando, we do expect to have commercial service here in the future. And if it kills me, it will be here at some point. We'll get that done. But also with other operators that we have here, for example, NOAA and the Hurricane Hunters are based here. You know, so, and when you're looking at our runway and you're looking at the pavement section, you know, and all the design criteria that's changed, you know, with the FAA, you know, our runway was already lacking just based on our operations outside and not even including Amazon. So if you look at NOAA's P3, for example, it's 150,000 pounds max takeoff weight. You know, so our runway was already not strengthened for just, you know, the current tenants that we have here at the airport and our just operations, you know, on a daily basis when we have, you know, the military using our facility, you know, on a year-round basis to do touch and goes and different training activities, obviously Sun and Fun. And then again, we've had commercial service in the past. We have a large MRO company that's here as well that works on larger aircraft, 727s, MD-80s, 737-400s, 800s or whatnot. So we already had the fleet mix in those aircraft that were operating here, but you know, just being a, you know, a GA facility, you know, we needed to upgrade not only for just Amazon, but again for, you know, what we do here on a year-round basis with our existing tenants and operations.
And when you first bid this project out, how did the bidding process go? Did people think you were crazy?
Pretty much. I'll let Chris answer that one.
We had our pre-bid meeting here at the airport terminal, and one of our contractors from the area was here to bid, and they felt that this was not reasonable to ask a contractor to build in this amount of time, and they let us know, and they decided to exit the meeting. So we still had 4 other bidders, and you know, we're pretty fortunate.
Let's talk a little bit about the engineering of the runway itself. How did you go about tearing down what you had or or what was the process of actually strengthening it to get it to where you needed it to go?
Well, there are several elements to it. Again, the average asphalt thickness on the entire runway is about 3 inches, plus or minus. There were some areas, once we milled it up, were less than 3 inches. So obviously we needed a lot of work done on our runway. Also, when you're looking at the profile of the runway, there was a dip in our runway, and then having these larger aircraft, we had to actually build up that dip, which required tremendous amounts of lime rock to be brought in to bring that up to meet the new profile of what was designed by Atkins. But once that was done, it was putting back, after taking off the 3, reworking the lime rock in several areas and building it up, with the, to meet the new profile. We put 9 inches back, and that was a lot of work, in 3-inch lifts to get it to where it is today. And we're very fortunate to have our design group with Atkins and also our contractor, because it was quite impressive. I'll just mention one of the companies. It's called Blade, and they did all the lime rock, working in the lime rock once it was spread out by the dump trucks. But it was almost like a ballet, the way they would lay out their equipment. Every single move that was happening out there, it was essentially a ballet, and there was a rhyme or reason. There wasn't one wasted movement out there. There weren't trucks moving in different directions trying to figure out where they wanted to go and what they were going to do. It was all put together, whether it was with Hubbard and their crews, or Blade and working the lime rock, or even with who was our electrical, with Pruitt, who did all of our electrical. Each piece was phenomenal, and there were days we'd go out there and we couldn't believe how much work was done from the prior day when we were out there the day before. I mean, Chris and I, if not Adam, we were out there every single day, boots on the ground, watching, not only from the standpoint of, hey, we want everybody out there to know that we're paying attention, but also we're just aviation geeks, and we love this stuff, and we just wanted to be around it, and we learned a lot as well, just being out there, watching all the crews work. And, it's something that was interesting, and these guys can speak for themselves, but, I think everybody understood, too, whether it was, Hubbard, which was the prime, or all the subs that were out there working on the job, you could feel the sense of pride and the understanding of what this project means and will mean for this airport, moving forward, and they could see Amazon's facility being built at the same time. But, everybody had bought into the fact that, hey, this is a very important project. Obviously, they get to make money and all of that, but, they can see what it's going to help create and what it's going to help drive in the future to help create opportunities for other people with the new 800 jobs that are now in that Amazon facility. So everybody, you could feel, now granted, everybody wasn't happy at all times. There's always challenges and different personalities and things we need to work through, but you could feel the pride, and, they understood what this project, means for not only this airport, for this region and for other people.
One thing that the vendors that I spoke to for this story, over and over again, they kept mentioning your leadership, Gene, but also Chris and Adam, just the team overall, and what a great and driven team you have at Lakeland Linder. What is next? What are you shooting for next? What impossible goal are you going to try?
Honestly, take a breath and to step back for a minute, but we're always planning for the future. We just completed our new master plan for the airport. So what is next in the next 10 years essentially is for us to get a new parallel built. So we've got 927. It's going to switch to 1028. So we're going to have a 10 left and a 10 right, and a 28 left and a 28 right. So that'll be a huge project for us, because right now we have a 5,000-foot crosswind, which doesn't lend to some of our larger operators now, and having intersecting runways isn't really the best operation in order for us to continue to grow. And as our operations increase and additional tenants move in, and obviously Amazon and future air service, having the parallel will be very important for our future to continue to operate, and also create other opportunities to develop on the airport as well. So, for example, by taking the crosswind out and putting the new parallel in, it will open up about 70 acres of future development in the northeast corner. Whether it's another cargo operator or MRO or something like that, it'll be additional acreage that we'll be able to develop. But again, the parallel is the big project that we're already starting to working on, because we just our city commission just approved today, or what is today, Tuesday, yesterday. we're working with the FAA to do a siting study to move our VOR, which is right in the center of the airport, but it's in the way of our new runway. So we're already moving in the direction on getting this parallel installed. And granted, hopefully it's not 10 years now. Hopefully it's sooner than that, but it will keep us busy for a while.
Seems like it's a good time to be in cargo and less in passenger and commercial right now.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. We're one of the fortunate airports in the area. Our traffic has increased and our revenues have increased, and we're pretty fortunate to be in the cargo business.
I just have one more question for Adam, and that is, you started your career here at Lakeland Linder, right? And you've been growing with it and really learning from the ground up. So, what would you say to other people who are maybe in college age or even high school thinking about careers in aviation? What kind of advice would you give them moving up to such a great team that you have now?
Oh gosh, well, there's so much that I've learned just being here at Lakeland. I'm coming up on 10 years now. I started out as an intern, and I think that probably my biggest advice for somebody that's trying to get into the industry and into airports, definitely seek out an internship. Reach out to your local airport, speak with the director. Try and get a better understanding of what's available out there, what opportunities are out there. But definitely, if you can kind of get your foot in the door with an internship and just start to understand what is airport operations, that may not be what you like, but there's so many other things in airports, from finance to marketing, so many different things that you can do in different aspects that go into running a facility like this that you may find your niche and want to pursue.
Excellent. I've really enjoyed talking to all of you and impressed by all of you've accomplished.
And if I could say one more thing, and Adam, he didn't mention this, but one thing that Adam did, in order to get his internship was he hounded us. And I would tell folks out there, don't give up, and if you really want it, keep pushing for it, because it really got to the point where we're just like, let's just give him the internship so he'll stop calling us. And then here we are. But I mean, that's important too. I mean, because we knew he was passionate, he really wanted to be here. And we said, hey, let's give him a shot. And then here we are. How many years later? 8, 9, 10?
Yeah,
10? Wow. So.
Yeah, and Chris, Chris has a similar inspiring story, I think, for someone who really wanted to get into aviation. And you were working at a different kind of manufacturing company, right, first?
Sure. Yep. So I was in the Air Force as a crew chief on C-130s, and so I worked on airplanes. I maintained them. And then when I got out of active duty military, I had to, move back up to northern Wisconsin, pretty rural up there, and there was a factory that makes machines that makes corrugated paper, cardboard machines in boxes. So I was working there. I was working across the street. I'd look out the window across the plant while I was running the radial arm drill, and I'd see airplanes sitting on this little ramp, across the street, and I kind of looked at it and thought, boy, I sure wish I was out there, not in this building. And lo and behold, there was a job for less money, less hours, as the part-time assistant airport manager is what they called it, but really it was the line guy, the snow shoveler, the janitor, you name it, that was the job, and I was fortunate enough to get that job for less money and less hours. But it was my foot in the door, and it really became my passion. And from there on out, I'm fortunate. I held 2 records in the state of Wisconsin. I was the youngest airport manager in the state, and I was the least paid. So it was perfect. So I'm pretty fortunate to have gotten in the industry. But it was just a passion. That's all.
And look at you now. Well, I'm sure this is not the first project that I'll hear about at Lakeland Linder, and I'm looking forward to hearing about the next one. And thank you so much for spending time with me today for Airport Improvement of yours.
Thank you, and thanks for writing a great article for us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.